I actually wanted to, first of all, just thank the Davis family for putting this together, bringing us all together. Yeah, let's get a round of applause. Thank you for the food, for the great place to be, for the puzzles and the prizes, for the great pictures along each of the tables. Very, very fun. We love it. And I was thinking today, what am I thankful for the Davises for? Certainly this night, this evening is wonderful. I'm also thankful that they would bring up and raise a guy like Matt. Yeah, we'll clap for Matt, absolutely. I have to tell you a story. Marissa was not yet back from her mission, and we had mentioned to a few friends that she was coming back to the airport. And my wife and I were talking one evening, and the doorbell rang. There was a knock at the door, and we weren't quite sure who it would be. And so I opened the door, and there was Matt right there at the door, and he had a bag of Oreo cookies. They weren't for me. That would have been really, really nice. But they were for Marissa, and he had a note on the back of them, and he asked if I could just put them in her room for her, so it would be waiting for her when she got back from the airport. In fact, I felt at that very moment that I should maybe just invite him to come to the airport to meet Marissa when she got back off of her mission. And so I gave him the details and the time and the place, and I closed the door, and I turned around, and this thought came out of nowhere. I thought, now he would be a great son-in-law. And so I think it wasn't maybe 3, 4, 5 months later, just a few months later, he proposed, I think, almost on their 4th anniversary of their first date that they took when they were in high school. In fact, I remember driving Marissa after Jenica had told her about a chance to go play volleyball with some friends. And Marissa being a little nervous going, and we brought one of her friends with her, and I dropped her off. Little did I know, when she was so young, I think you were 15 or 16, and dropping you off at a church, and you were there to meet the man that you would eventually marry. Pretty amazing. And I think about, a father, what kind of things does he want in the man that's going to marry his daughter? And certainly you want a guy who's going to support her and be there for her and help her through the good times and the bad. But I think if I was to say, overall, if I could just name one thing, I would say I would want a man who would love her unconditionally, no matter what. And so today I grabbed Marissa, not even saying any of this stuff, and I said, Marissa, can you tell me, what is it that you love most about Matt? And without even any prompting, she said, Dad, I love Matt because he loves me unconditionally. He loves me no matter what I do. He loves me just for who I am. And she said I needed that. So how awesome. I'm going to invite them up here in just a second to tell their story. But you will see as they tell their story just how coincidence after coincidence, which I don't believe were coincidences, brought them together over the years that they've known each other and over these last few months that they were brought together. So that said that a couple's love is a parent's joy. And so tonight we celebrate this couple's love and also this parent and grandparents and cousins and uncles and friends alike, our joy because of the love that you have. So thank you. Thank you for being here, and congratulations, Matt and Marissa.
So I think I'm just probably gonna, go through it, and she's just gonna interrupt me during it, because, I'm just kind of blatant like that, and she likes the details. Opposites attract, right? But so from the very get-go, it was like 4 years ago that we got the chance to meet. One of our mutual friends, Jenica Smith, she's standing there in the back. She introduced us. It was one day that I was inviting some people to go play volleyball. And so I called Jenica and asked her if she wanted to go. She wasn't able to, but she was right next to Marissa, which she just kind of invited to go in her stead and instead of her. And so I was like, oh, okay, that sounds great. But yeah, it was kind of like a long shot because she didn't know anyone that was gonna be there, but she went anyway. I think that was like the first impression that I got was like, dang, she's brave. I don't think I could do that. But she came. It was actually in this chapel. Yep. That we had the volleyball game, and so they came right out here, and it was really funny because her and her friend got out of the car, and I didn't know what she looked like, but I knew that she was one of them, and my instant thought was like, oh man, I hope that one's Marissa, because I had gotten to know her over text and everything, and she sounded like a really fun gal, and so I just thought, oh man, I hope that one's Marissa, and it ended up that it was her. It was really fun. And then, do you have any interruptions yet? Okay. And then, so the next day, or the next time we met, I think I asked her on a date to go to Valentine's, do a Valentine's date, which was pretty, awesome first date to have it on Valentine's Day, but I couldn't think of anyone better to go with. So we had our first date, and she ended up asking me to her dance because she was already planning on asking me for that dance. So she's like, well, just because he asked me on one date doesn't mean I have to change my date. So we ended up going to her school dance too. We went on a couple dates here and there, and then we liked to take walks down the canal, and we got to know each other a lot during that. And then I went on my mission. She finished high school and went to BYU. And she actually went on her mission too while I was on my mission, and it was really weird because we didn't really write each other on our missions. We wrote each other like maybe 2 or 3 times, and that was it. But once I started getting home, my mission president was like asking me, all right, Elder Davis, who's it gonna be? Who would you like to court when you get home? And I'm like, I don't know. and so it was really kind of funny. One of my older companions that I had, he was really into girls, talking about las chicas, and and so he started to ask me that same question, and I ended up talking about Marissa, and it was really funny because when my mission president asked me that question, I just came up with her name, and he like spent this whole time, like an hour, just planning out how I was gonna court her, how I was gonna like get home from my mission, find a really good job, earn up a lot of money, get a new car, and like maybe even like put a down payment on a house, and then I'd be ready for her, because that's what he did with his wife. And then I get home, and the next Monday, she emails me, and she's like, I'm coming home this week. I'm like, what? There goes all my plans. I like emailed my president, and I was like, President, she's coming home this week. What do I do? Him being a busy man, he didn't respond till like 3 months later when I was actually engaged to her. But
Of course. And And I feel like I don't just all these things that have happened. Like my dad was saying, there's so many coincidences that were definitely not coincidence. Like we are so like there's no doubt that Heavenly Father was a huge part of this process because. Like I remember when I was at BYU and I was like deciding whether or not I was gonna go on a mission, like the age just changed and all of that. And I just really felt like I had to go on a mission. Like it wasn't one of those like, well, if you want to go on a mission, that'd be great, but if you want to stay home, that's okay too. It was like, no, Marissa, you have to go on a mission. Like this is part of your life plan. And so I went, and then some of you guys know, but I had to come home early for health reasons, and that's why I got home a week after him. And so it just all worked out so perfectly, and it was just amazing. Because if I hadn't gone on a mission, I would be up at BYU right now going to school. I wouldn't be down here still, and so we wouldn't have gotten to know each other better and stuff like that. And so it's really cool, and totally like through the rest of our like story, there's so many things that it's just Heavenly Father was totally part of this. It was awesome.
Second day from your mission.
Oh. That's all you.
Okay. So the second day after she got home from her mission, I ended up going to the airport. I wasn't late. I had got there on time, but I was at the wrong terminal. And so
I didn't notice you were late though.
I was a little late to see her. I didn't get to see her come out of the terminal, but yeah, it was all good because she didn't even notice. But yeah, after that we actually went walking around the temple the next day together, just catching up and stuff. And I was like debating on whether or not to tell her the feelings that I had for her, because after talking with my mission companion and after talking with my president, I had figured out, dang, I have feelings for this girl and I want to date her to find out if she's the one I want to marry. And so I was trying to figure out when to tell her that. And when we were walking around the temple, I think it was kind of obvious that I had decided that I wanted to tell her.
It was just really cute because he was so nervous. Like I had no idea why he was nervous because he hadn't said anything to me yet. But I was just like, so we just like kept walking around. I was just like waiting for him to like say it because I was like, there's something he like needs to talk about, but he was just so nervous.
And so when I finally did, I just kind of blurted it out exactly how I described it. Like my mission president asking me like, so who are you gonna marry? Who do you want to marry? and I told her, I'm like, well, I said you. And that was the second day that she had gotten home from her mission. So I was like, well, what do you think about that? And
again, Heavenly Father was a big part of this.
Yeah, any other girl would have been like, get away from me. But I think the Spirit just told her to endure the end. Because it was pretty awkward.
But so then after that, okay. So after that though, then came Matt's trial of patience and faith because I was still thinking I was gonna go back out on my mission, like I was gonna get over this health stuff and then just go back out, right? And I was super excited for it. And so I was like, I'm not gonna get married right now. Like in my mind, I like wasn't closed off to it, but I was like, I think I kind of was. But and so like we would hang out all the like we've seen each other every day, but one day we haven't seen each other, but since I've gotten home from my mission, we've seen each other every single day. And so we were hanging out, and he asked me, and I told him, like, because I was worried about leading him on or something, because we were hanging out so much. But I was like, well, I told him, like, I didn't want to date right now, and he said that's okay. And so I was like, okay, well, at least he knows. And so...
Well, I was secretly okay with it, but secretly I was like, I want to know what your feelings are for me. And she just kept on saying like, I don't know what my feelings are for you. And so it was just like really hard. But it was really funny because one night we were walking down the canal, and I had tried like every single way to ask her, like, how do you feel for me? Like, what are your feelings for me? And she just kept on responding, I don't know, IDK. And and one night we were walking down the canal, and I asked her, okay, so what do you think would happen if you tell me that you did like me, and do you think would happen if you tell me you didn't? And so she told me, well, I think if I told you I liked you, then, you know, there would be no reason to not date each other. But I'm just not ready for that. And if I told you I didn't like you, then I'm afraid you'd like stop hanging out with me as much. But I don't want that either. And so I kind of like stopped for a moment, and I was like, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you already have an answer. You're just afraid of like the results that are gonna come from it. And she just like stood there quietly and was like, for like 5 minutes we were just walking.
It's because I was like, I really didn't know, okay? Like, I just hadn't thought about it. And so during these 5 minutes, I was like going through everything that we'd like done together, like, okay, like, do I like him or do I not? Like, I was trying to sort through it out. And so I wasn't just trying to be like, you were not gonna find out for 5 minutes or anything like that.
I took it like that. I just kind of like took it like, okay, so obviously that's a yes. What is the answer? It doesn't matter, like, don't be afraid of the results, like, sin miedo de los resultados. and she paused for a moment, and then she just told me, yes. And my face like shot up like, wait, yes what? And she's like, yes. I'm like, yes, like you like me? Yeah. I'm like, oh, sweet. Well, she says, on the outside, I wasn't like that. I was just like, okay. But on the inside, I was like, yes. And so I continue to tell her, you know, even though you have feelings for me, like even though you like me, don't worry, it doesn't mean that we have to date. Like, I'm okay with that. And so when I went home to talk with my mom and tell her what had happened, because I was pretty updatative and excited. Like, I updated her about everything that happened. And so when I was updating her, she told me like, oh please, you guys are already like dating. You're hanging out every day. It's not like you're dating, like you're kissing and everything like that, but you totally have a relationship already. And I'm like, that's true. That's so true. And so we actually went to the next day, we went to the Gilbert Temple, and we were walking around, and you know, I sat her by the bench, by the waterfall, and I told her that. I was like, well, you know, I was talking with my mom the other day, and you know, yesterday, and she said that we were kind of already dating. Like, we already had a relationship because, you know, we're hanging out every day. It's just not like that progressed. And so we decided, you know, I was like, so what do you think of that? And she's like, well, I guess that makes sense. And I'm like, all right. So, you know, to be official, Marissa Henderson, would you be my girlfriend? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, yes. But on the outside, I was just like, sweet. Again, not showing my, you know, real emotions. And then the next day, I was leaving her house. So this is like the second day after she had told me she had feelings for me. I was leaving, and I was like, well, since you're my girlfriend, you know, could I give you a kiss? And she just got this like really weird look on her face. I'm like, on the cheek? And she's like, okay. And I'm like, okay. And so I kissed her on the cheek. And then I asked her, could I give you a kiss on the lips? And she was like, no, not yet. I'm like, okay, I thought I might ask anyway. And so the next day after that, we were at my house, and again, we were talking about, what was gonna happen when she went up to BYU and everything like that. I was like super scared, and I was like, well, what is gonna happen to us when you go up to BYU? And she just got super quiet. She just got super quiet for like 5 minutes again, and I'm like, okay, I know where this is going. Just tell me what it is. What's going on? And she just wouldn't tell me. She was super stubborn. She was like, no, I can't tell you. It's super embarrassing. It's super embarrassing. And so you want to say something? And so I like kept on saying, like, what is it? What is it? I'm not gonna like move on. I want to know what it is. And so she just got really quiet, and she's like, I want you to kiss me. I'm like, what? Seriously? And she's like, yeah.
No, okay, that's not how it happened. Okay. So, okay, yeah, I did. It's okay. I was like, it's still like super awkward for me, because I was like, okay, that is not how you want your first kiss to go. I mean, like, girls have this like dream of like, oh, this first kiss, it's gonna be like this super romantic, and like, I mean, my parents' first kiss was like in the pouring rain, like, and so. I was like, but I just had this feeling. It was like the thought would not leave my head. Like, just like kiss me. Like, I want him to just have him kiss me. And I was like, no, like I'm not gonna ask him that. That's so awkward. And so like that's why it was just taking me forever. And I was just like, but after I said it, I was like, I want you to kiss me. He just like stopped. Like his face was just like blank. And then he like didn't say anything, and he just like went for it. He just like leaned forward and kissed me. Yeah. And it was just, and then that night it was kind of cute, because that night, so we like talked or whatever a little bit more, and then he took me out to my car, and he kissed me again, and then he kissed me again. I was about to get in my car, and then he's like, not done. And he gave me another kiss. And then, yeah. And then I think, just like from my side of this or whatever, that like, so the next night after that, we made a fire in my in my backyard, and we have a little fire pit, and so we made a fire, and we're just sitting by the fire, we're just talking and just like cuddling or whatever, and just being with each other, and I think that's like the night that I knew that I loved him. Like it was that night when we were just talking and laughing and all that good stuff.
And that night was also the first night that I got on one knee and I proposed. So 4 days after I had, found out that she liked me, I proposed to her on one knee.
And I said no.
She said not yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
She always gets after me for saying she said no.
Well, because I didn't want to say yes, because I was like, I can't commit to that. Are you kidding me? It's been 4 days. And but I didn't want to say no, because it wasn't like a no, I never want to marry you. Like, I don't know. It was just in the air.
Yeah. So, it was kind of like a not yet. I'm like, okay. Well, at least you know. And so it was the day after that. No, it's 2 days after that. It was 2 days after that we were, sitting on the couch, and we were just, again, like super deep in the conversation, and I ended up proposing again, and that time she said yes, and I was like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, yes. And it was just really funny, because from the very first day that she said that she liked me. The next day, we started dating. The next day, I kissed her on the cheek, but tried to kiss her on the lips, and she wasn't having it yet. The next day, we kissed on the lips. We had our first kiss, and then the next day, I proposed. 2 days after that, she accepted. So it was kind of like a week span from the moment that she figured out she liked me and told me to we were engaged. So technically we were dating for 1 week before we were engaged. But we like to tell people that we've known each other for 4 years because because I officially proposed with the ring and everything for like 3 weeks later, but it was like 4 years to the day that we had our very first date, which was on Valentine's Day. So even though it was kind of like, super corny because it's on Valentine's Day and everyone does that, it was super significant because we had our first date on Valentine's Day anyway. So it was really cool. And
Okay. Well, I have one more thing that I'd like to say for Matt here. Give me an M. Give me an A. Give me a T. Give me another T. What's that spell? I can't hear you. Hit it, Lils. Mention that I'm in love with you. And did I mention there's nothing I can do? And did I happen to say I dream of you every day? Shout it out loud. That's okay. That's okay. I met this guy who rocked my world like it's never been rocked. And now I'm living just for him and I won't ever stop. I never thought that it could happen to a girl like me. But look at what you've done, you've got me down on my knees. Because my love for you is ridiculous. I never knew that it could be like this. My love for you is ridiculous. My love is R-I-D-I-C-L-O-U-S. It's just, and now it's in my heart of just one kiss. Well, did I mention that I'm in love with you? And did I mention there's nothing I can do? And did I happen to say I dream of you every day? Well, let me shout it out loud, 'cause that's okay. Yeah. I gotta know which way to go. Come on, give me a sign. You gotta show me that you're only ever gonna be mine. Don't wanna go another minute living without you. 'Cause if your heart just isn't in it, I don't know what I'd do. 'Cause my love for you is ridiculous. I never knew that it could be like this. My love for you is ridiculous. My love is R-I-D-I-C-U-L-O-U-S. It's just, and now I give my heart just one kiss. Come on now. Alright. My love for you is ridiculous. I never knew that it could be like this. My love for you is ridiculous. My love is R-I-D-I-C-U-L-O-U-S. It's just, and now I give my heart just one kiss. Come on now.
To love you, it's the best thing that I'll ever do. I get to love you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming. Matt and I are so excited to get married. It's been like the longest week of our lives this last week. We've got 3 more days. Countdown has begun. Oh, for our honeymoon. Well, Matt is taking me to Cancun, Mexico. Thank you so much for coming. We love all of you. And so it's so fun to meet. Like, I love meeting all the Davis family. I hope you guys have enjoyed meeting my family. And yeah, so just feel free to mingle and talk and